And the Supreme National Security Council of Iran has also issued a statement that I have here.
No one can believe that fake news CNN put out a knowingly false and dangerous statement pretending it came from the upper levels of the Iranian government. The president is accusing them of having published a fake statement, a hoax. Guys, up first, we're going to talk about some of the media fallout and feuds with the president, particularly with CNN, in light of the temporary deal or ceasefire that was announced late last night between Iran and the United States, the Trump administration, after his pretty extreme threats. And I personally am glad we did not, in fact, what did he say? End an entire civilization? Yeah, I'm glad that didn't happen. I think this was perhaps a predictable outcome that he would, and maybe that's the best defense of him making such extreme statements, is that it's part of his posturing or negotiating tactic, and then he'd reach a deal and back off from it. I don't really think that makes it okay, but regardless, what happened then is that there's been a fair amount of, frankly, like confusion about what is the deal, what isn't the deal, which specific points have been agreed to. And the Trump administration, both the president himself and his head of the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, have gone really, really extreme on CNN. And y'all know I'm a pretty big critic of CNN, but I try to be fair. So I'm just going to analyze this and tell you who I think's in the right versus who's in the wrong. They're going very nuclear over CNN's coverage decisions and even threatening them with potential criminal charges for this. So here's what happened. I'm just going to play the clip where CNN aired two different statements from the Iranian government, one from the foreign ministry, and then one from a different Iranian government body, the Supreme National Security Council. Here's the clip. And then I'll show you the headline as well that has the Trump administration extremely worked up. Let's watch.
Breaking news, Iran's foreign minister just responding to Trump's ceasefire announcement. I want to read part of it to you. He says, if attacks against Iran are halted, our powerful armed forces will cease their defensive operations. For a period of 2 weeks, safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz will be possible via coordination with Iran's armed forces and with due consideration of technical limitations. Obviously, those words are crucial there. And the Supreme National Security Council of Iran has also issued a statement that I have here, and I'll just share you a couple of the important lines here. One of them is that the regulated passage through the Strait of Hormuz under the coordination of the armed forces of Iran, thereby conferring upon Iran a unique economic and geopolitical standing, which sounds like, in a translation, Iran saying that they see this as acknowledgement that they control the Strait of Hormuz. Let's go to Zachary Cohen, our national security reporter here. Zachary, what are you learning about this? We're just getting these dual statements, one from Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi and also from the Supreme National Security Council.
Yeah, so this is breaking news coverage. She's reading teleprompter scripts that are surely written by someone else. This is Erin Burnett, the host you just saw, and she's presenting two different statements, one which is more bombastic and kind of declares victory for Iran more so, and that's the one from the Supreme National Security Council, and then one that's much more muted and diplomatic from the foreign minister of Iran. And again, we're all still kind of unclear on what the deal exactly is and which plan has been agreed to and which pieces of it have and have not. I'm glad there's a deal. I want the fighting to stop, but what I don't necessarily see. I mean, you could critique the way that that CNN presented all this information, or say that they also presented everything the Trump administration is saying about it as well. But it seems newsworthy to me what both bodies of the Iranian government are saying about the deal that was just reached. So they presented both statements. But the Trump administration then suggested that the latter statement was actually a fake news post from Nigeria or something. So here's what Trump posted on Truth Social. Oh, and they're also upset about the article version of this. So the headline there is CNN World, Iran claims victory, says it forced U.S. to accept 10-point plan. Iran says it has achieved a great victory and forced the United States to accept its 10-point plan, according to a statement from Iran's Supreme National Security Council reported by Iranian state media. and then they just essentially recount what they claimed. And you could say that they should have done more skepticism, that they should have like maybe not just repeated what they said and maybe included the Trump administration, a response in the headline. Like you could critique this coverage, surely. Obviously, CNN is biased against Trump. I don't think anybody really disputes that. But was it a fake statement? And are they possibly criminally responsible? That's what the Trump administration is suggesting. Now, let's look at what Trump said about this, because he went scorched earth on CNN. He posted, "The alleged statement put out by CNN World News is a fraud, as CNN well knows. The false statement was linked to a fake news site from Nigeria, and of course, immediately picked up by CNN and blared out as a legitimate headline. The official statement by Iran was just released and posted on Truth below. Authorities are looking to determine whether or not a crime was committed on the issuance of the fake CNN World statement, or was it a sick rogue player? CNN is being ordered to immediately withdraw this statement with full apologies for their, as usual, terrible reporting. Results of the investigation will be announced in the near future. President Donald J. Trump." Another post from him here. "No one can believe that fake news CNN put out a knowingly false and dangerous statement pretending it came from the upper levels of the Iranian government. It didn't. It was totally made up and posted as a headline for purpose of, perhaps, inflaming a very delicate situation. It was a new troublemaking site from Nigeria, and CNN just got caught cheating. A very dangerous thing to do." Wow. So these are very serious accusations against CNN. The president is accusing them of having published a fake statement, a hoax, and he is ordering them to retract their reporting, which maybe I missed something, but I don't recall presidents being allowed to order media outlets to alter their reporting, even if it is wrong, which we'll get into. That's actually not a thing presidents are allowed to do with the First Amendment and the freedom of the press, because even if they did publish something, like, that's not illegal to make a mistake. Now, obviously, that would be enormously detrimental to their credibility, and it would be a massive journalistic scandal, and maybe people CNN would fall apart as business, but it's not really a crime or something a president can order them to retract. But more importantly, this isn't actually true, as we'll get to. But first, I want to read you the statement from Brendan Carr, Trump's head of the FCC. He says, "More outrageous conduct from CNN. Fake news is bad enough for the country, but pushing out a hoax headline in such a sensitive national security moment as this requires accountability. Iran put out an official statement that simply cannot be squared with the one CNN's false headline attributes to them. Time for change at CNN." So there are a couple problems with this. One is that as the head of the FCC, Brendan Carr actually does not have any authority, as far as I'm aware, over CNN, because CNN isn't a broadcast network. It doesn't use the actual airwaves that the FCC regulates. That would be like ABC News or CBS News, but cable news is not in the purview of the FCC. So he's weighing in here, not really sure why. And he's also accusing them of publishing fake information or a hoax. But while the situation is kind of messy and kind of complicated, it's not a hoax or a false statement. And I'll get into the details here. So here's what CNN's communications department said. "The statement in question was obtained by CNN from Iranian officials and reported on multiple Iranian state media outlets. We received the statement from specific official Iranian spokespeople who are known to us." So they're not apologizing, and they're standing by this reporting. This statement came directly from the Supreme National Security Council of Iran. Here is more from a reporter for CNN who explained this in the coverage later last night after all the backlash came out. Quote, "The second document, the one apparently President Trump seems to be objecting to, is the one that's been sent to us by the Supreme National Security Council of Iran. That's Iran's highest military body And that's a lot more aggressive and goes into a lot more detail about what that 10-point plan to end the war from Iran actually involves, Chance said. That's the reporter here. Chance explained how CNN verified the authenticity of the council's statement after Trump accused the network of airing a fraud. It had already appeared on state news agencies in Iran, like the Fars news agency and the semi-official Tasman news agency as well, Chance said. But when President Trump posted on Truth Social that he objected to that report, to that document, he said it was fake. I followed up with the Iranian Foreign Ministry and said, look, do you have this document you can send to me? And they sent me the document themselves, which was exactly the same as the document we originally had. And so I think we're pretty confident, very confident, that this document is authentic. And then Mediaite reports that numerous other outlets have reported on the Security Council statement as authentic. So what's strange here is that what you have is essentially two different statements from different parts of the Iranian government. One is a military body, and the other one is the Foreign Affairs Office. And the statements strike different tones and make different claims, so they're somewhat in conflict. And the Trump administration, it much prefers the Iranian Foreign Ministry's statement because it comes off as more of a win for them. But what's wrong here is that they're acting like the other statement is fake or something when it's objectively not. So it's been objectively verified, and the Supreme National Security Council of Iran is a real high-level governmental military body. It's not a hoax. It's not a fake statement. It has nothing to do with a fake news website from Nigeria. So while the president is free to not like how CNN framed the coverage, while Brendan Carr is free to criticize this, accusing them of a crime makes no sense. They published both statements from legitimate governmental bodies of what the Iranian government said. That's not a crime. That's like obviously newsworthy, and you don't have to like how they presented it. You could think it's biased or unfair, but obviously what the top military body in Iran has to say about the deal is important, and it's confirmed and legitimate. So why are you calling it a hoax when it's not? And why are you threatening or demanding that press outlets retract true reporting while falsely accusing them of crimes? It all comes off as deeply unstable to me. And I don't understand why, if this really is such a win for Trump, why would he be focusing his energy on fighting with CNN? I don't know. I mean, I get that you would want to control the narrative, but to me, that's not going to work. And this is just going to make you look like you're scrambling. And again, it really bothers me to have him just like say things that are objectively not true. Like he could have put out a post saying CNN, unfair and biased as always. They're showing you this statement, but it's not right and this. But to say it's a hoax, to say that they're going to investigate them for crimes, there's no crimes. What are you talking about? And it's just bizarre because I think if any Democratic president had treated conservative media this blatantly, like censorious, really, you're trying to order them to retract true information you don't like, is wild. And I just find the silence deafening from a lot of my friends on the right who, and I agreed with them about a lot of their critiques about the Biden administration and censorship and free speech and the First Amendment. Well, when it's Trump just wreaking havoc on freedom of the press and going nuts on Truth Social and trying to extort news organizations to do his bidding, suddenly there's a lot of quiet from some of my former, well, they're still my friends. I can still disagree with them, but some of my friends who used to be very concerned about these issues. So I don't know, guys. What do you think of this mess between Trump and CNN? I find it fascinating, but also disturbing.